Civil rights groups condemn Southern Poverty Law Center's indictment and prepare for legal fights. Add AP News as your preferred source to see more of our stories on Google. Add AP News on Google. Add AP News as your preferred source to see more of our stories on Google. Share Washington app. The criminal indictment of the Southern Poverty Law Center this week was met with much outrage, but little surprise from civil rights leaders who have for more than a year prepared for heightened legal scrutiny from the Trump administration and how to mount a coordinated response. In rounds of calls immediately following the indictment, advocates discussed how to support the SPLC, a Montgomery, Alabama-based civil rights group founded in 1971 that has tracked white supremacist groups and been outspoken on voting rights, immigration, and policing. Organizers on one call agreed that winning in the court of public opinion would be crucial as judicial proceedings began, leading to dozens of public statements of support and planned rallies. And legal advisors to civil rights groups urged organizers to prepare for similar criminal indictments, protracted legal action that may exhaust their resources, and audits of their staff and internal documents. The flurry of behind-the-scenes coordination represented a marked mobilization by activist groups that, like many universities, law firms, and nonprofits, have been at odds with the federal government since President Donald Trump's return to the White House last year. There is a muscle that has been built among these organizations learned from the law firm debacle, said Vinita Gupta, a former Associate Attorney General of the Justice Department during the Biden administration, referring to deals some major law firms made with the administration. Gupta led one of the calls that convened activists. Read more. The government's goal is often to shut down and paralyze an organization so that their work has to stop while they defend themselves. And the hope here is that with this broad effort to defend the SPLC, that will not happen, said Gupta. Organizers say they are prepared to back the SPLC in its legal fight. It's a blatantly obvious attack on civil rights and civil liberties to whitewash the foot soldiers of the Great Replacement theory and other extremists. This coalition isn't going silent, said Meyer Wiley, president and CEO of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, an umbrella organization of hundreds of civil rights groups. Without addressing the indictment, a coalition of more than 100 activist groups on Tuesday published a letter vowing solidarity with groups that are unjustly targeted by the federal government. SPLC was a signatory to the pact. An attack on one is an attack on all, the coalition declared. We will share knowledge, resources, and support with any organization threatened by abuses of power. DOJ alleges criminal conduct in SPLC. Longtime informant network. The Justice Department alleges that the SPLC, which rose to prominence for its work prosecuting and tracking hate groups like the Ku Klux Klan, violated federal law through its network of paid informants in extremist groups. The DOJ claims the payments funded hate groups and misled the SPLC donors. The SPLC now faces charges of wire fraud, bank fraud, and conspiracy to commit money laundering in the case brought in the federal court in Alabama, where the organization is based. The SPLC is manufacturing racism to justify its existence, said Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche at a press conference announcing the charges. Blanche promised the department will hold the SPLC and every other fraudulent organization operating with the same deceptive playbook accountable. Longtime civil rights activists found the claims to be a disingenuous and partisan move that may empower extremist groups. The indictment is nakedly political and represents the Justice Department turning on itself, said Mark Morial, president of the National Urban League. It places the Justice Department in the posture of, in effect, defending white supremacist groups like the Ku Klux Klan and others. Advocates also view the indictment as part of the administration's broader upending of civil rights law and the Justice Department's prosecution of Trump's political opponents. The SPLC in recent years became a bogeyman among conservatives who resented that the watchdog designated several right-wing organizations that engage in Republican politics as hateful or extremist. Tony Perkins, president of the Family Research Council, which the SPLC has designated as a hate group, said the government should not only pursue convictions, but also restitution for those the SPLC has harmed. For years, The SPLC has used its platform to label and target organizations with whom it disagrees, often blurring the line between legitimate concern and ideological attack, Perkins said in a statement. That kind of reckless characterization doesn't just damage reputations, it has put lives at risk. In October, FBI Director Kash Patel canceled the agency's longtime anti-extremism partnerships with the SPLC and the Anti-Defamation League, which combats anti-Semitism. Patel at the time called the SPLC a partisan smear machine. The Justice Department and SPLC did not respond to requests for comment. Indictment represents marked shift for civil rights work advocates dispute the DOJ's characterization of the SPLC work. The problem is that the indictment essentially claims that it was a fraud on SPLC donors to use their funds to fight the Klan, the neo-Nazis and other white supremacist groups, when that is exactly why people gave to the organization, said Norm Eisen, founder of Democracy Defenders Action, a group that works with organizations in legal disputes with the Trump administration. Eisen added, the notion that there's something wrong with using informants and protecting their identities to prevent white supremacist violence is belied by the fact that that is not only what the SPLC did, but it is also the stock and trade of the FBI itself. Civil rights organizations are now preparing for further legal action. Organizations have reviewed their document retention, tax compliance, and auditing policies over the last year to safeguard against any probes or lawsuits. Some civil rights organizations have also floated creating new organizational structures that may better withstand legal scrutiny. On another recent call, activists floated restructuring some groups into for-profit entities or potentially crafting new financial conduits